Hi, I'm Thomas from AKG, and this time I want to talk about AKG's DMM automixers and their exciting features. The main menu knob is the heart of the user interface. The button enables the control by a fingertip. To adjust the levels, we start with the input levels. Then we bring up the level to 0 dB, what is indicated with a brighter LED. The input gain can be set on the rear panel as well as the phantom power. The DMMs are using a sophisticated algorithm to determine if the signal is relevant or not, regardless of the level of it. The way of mixing is called Gainsharing. That means that the output level always stays constant. All input channels added together share 100% of the output level you adjust on the main out, all the time. If no relevant signal is recognized, all inputs are reduced by a certain level to reach the 100% level again. If one channel receives a relevant input signal, that input gains more gain. The others reduced even more, so that in total we still have that 100%. If two or more receive a relevant signal, all those channels are prioritized, but in total we still have that 100%. This way you will never run into feedback troubles, and that's the best feedback elimination system you will ever have in your hands. The win of gain before feedback rises with the number of open microphones that you are using. Since you can cascade up to 10 DMM, the maximum system size you can have is 120 microphones, all watching each other, all mixed under gain sharing conditions. So let us go through the various possibilities to adjust the unit, starting with level adjustment for each input and output, and the option to watch the various level meters by a brief push on the main menu knob. As next point on the gain menu knob, we can find low and high frequency adjustment. The bass is adjusted with a bass shelving filter first order from -14 to +14 dB. Analog to that, you can adjust treble from -14 to +14 dB as well. The low cut is a high pass second order. You can adjust the starting point from 0 to 150 Hz. Let's look at the limiter. You realize that only those potentiometers light up that can be adjusted. That's clever and prevents from searching for the right knobs. The limiter affects obviously the outputs, and you can adjust the intensity from +20 to -25 dBu. The compressor affects the inputs. The ratio is fixed to 1 to 2. You can adjust the intensity from +20 to -25 dBu again. At +25, the whole LED ring is lightened up. Be always careful using that. If you adjust it too aggressively, it might result in feedback. The next position is automixing. Probably that's the main reason why you will use that product. Turn the knob of the channel you want to set to automixing clockwise. You do not want to put the channels to automix that carry media signals, for example, or instruments used in a church. Basically set those to automix that will be used for speech purposes. The next position is priority. Priority, you can set each of your channels as a priority channel. Here, for example, the chairman would be located, and that gives the chairman the power to override a meeting if needed. Use the balance to enable directive listening in an acoustical, uncritical environment. That helps listeners to follow a meeting. One can see into the same direction as the sound comes from. So for all the left guys, let the sound come out of the left speakers. For all the right guys, from the right speakers. That makes it easier to follow a meeting. Or in a feedback-sensitive environment, you can do the opposite. Bring the speaker sound as far as possible from the microphone by routing a person seated on the right side to the left speaker's output and the other way around. That enlarges the distance and will give you more gain before feedback. Delay is a very nice feature to compensate sound runtime, for example, using 2 lines of column speakers in larger rooms like churches. The DMM6 uses left channel as delay channel, the DMM12 that we have here, output 2. By turning the knob clockwise, you are enlarging the delay. Practically, the delay is set up in meters. So you just need to measure the distance between speaker row 1 and 2, and each LED equals 5 meters. That's precise enough for these applications. If you measure, for example, 18 meters, you should adjust it up to 20. That gives the sound wave of the first row the chance to reach the listeners first. Psychoacoustically, the brain will hear that one more, what results in a nice directive listening effect. Next is the routing section. You can route any mix of the inputs to any of the outputs by just turning around the knobs lockwise and enable it for that specific output you're just adjusting. The DMM has output 1 and record to route. The DMM 12 offers in addition an adjustable stereo output 2. The DMM 12 BC an additional AES EBU output, all to be fed with individual input mixes. The DMM 12 BC has additionally a 12-band graphic EQ that enables fine-tuning for each of the outputs, except the AES EBU and the record out. Those two are linear. As next, I would like to show you the headphone out. With so many ins and outs, it was really a must to do something special here. It works the following. You push that headphone out button and then adjust here what you want to listen to. Any of the inputs are possible, but of course also any of the total outputs are possible. That will be remembered and stored for the future use until you change your settings. You can mute all inputs and outputs by a brief push, and that will be indicated by a blinking LED ring. To unmute, press it again. That might need a bit of training to find the right length of pressing, but you will manage it, I'm sure. The unit's main levels can be analog controlled with a linear 50 kilo ohms potentiometer. You can use that, for example, in seminar rooms where no further access should be granted and control should be as easy as possible. The linear potentiometer is connected to the VCA input as shown. By turning the potentiometer, you change the resistance and change the levels. The output level depends on the master control and the remote level control together. The remote level control has the same effect on both masters. The DMM 12 BC has a digital output which can be picked up via a balanced AES EBU or an optical SPDIF output to the rear panel on the device. The AES EBU output can be accessed via a 3-pin Phoenix terminal. The assignment from left to right is A, B and shield. The optical output is accessible via a Toslink socket. Both digital outputs have the same data signal. The signal is in stereo, has a 24-bit data format and a sample frequency of 48 kHz. The routing signal to Digi Out function on the system control on the front panel can be used to individually or jointly route the inputs. Cascading of up to 10 units is possible. Please do not mix different DMM as, for the example, the DMM 6 or DMM 12 in one system. The unit has two 100 megabits Ethernet interfaces. These communicate the control data and audio data between up to 10 units. This allows an Automic system with up to 120 input channels, 40 output channels and 10 stereo headphone outputs to be established. The master buses for Out 1, Out 2, Record Out and Digi Out and Headphone are accessible for all of the cascaded units across the entire system. Every unit adds its input channels to the master buses, which are transferred via an Ethernet interface. Every unit can monitor and output their master buses. The Automix algorithm also transfers the control data via that interface. This allows the Automix algorithm to function system-wide. The new generation of AKG's DMMs represent a full package of signal treating tools, all packed in a single 8 unit, 19-inch rack device, controlled easily by a fingertip. It does much more than it seems on the first sight and definitely solves your troubles. It's the ideal problem solver. Thank you for your attention. Hope to see you soon.